Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Welcome back to another YouTube channel for everybody. I'm so excited to have you all back here together again. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing, well, by the time you're watching this, it is March 31st, around 4:30 p.m. By the time this video is premiering. And I am going to be ranking all 14 retro March 2022 movies from the worst to the best. Let's go ahead and get started. The list is down below in the description of what movies I've seen. Coming in last place is Broken Blossoms. Now, if you've seen my review for this movie on Letterboxd, you know that this is the worst movie I've ever seen. And it's not really because it's bad. It's just, it's so boring. Like, there's nothing likable about this movie at all. Like, it was so difficult. It's so kind of difficult to talk about. And technically, this movie was released in 1919, where they were making silent movies. So it's not technically my fault that I don't like this movie, but at the same time it is, because why would I choose to watch this movie? That's the thing. I'm trying to watch movies that I'm trying to watch every movie. It doesn't matter what genre it is. Movies that I'm not the biggest fan of, genres I'm not the biggest fan of, I watch. Like romance. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I still watch it. Number 13 is Six Underground. Now, this is a film that seems a lot more like my style because I love action movies, I like Ryan Reynolds, and I am sort of liking Michael Bay. Because I liked what he did with Bad Boys, and this is technically like his Bad Boys for the 21st for the 2010s, though it's not technically Bad Boys. But, you know, it has some cool action here and there. There are some fun jokes. Ryan Reynolds does have some good stuff in it. But it's like, there wasn't really anything compelling about it. The action was cool, but like, it's not like it was mind-blowing to me like some of these other movies I've watched before. And the story wasn't really that interesting, so it was just kind of a letdown for me. Number 12 is Cheaper by the Dozen 2. This is a movie that I saw leading up to the new remake that we got last week. And that we got 2 weeks ago, and I would say that there's some enjoyable stuff in it. Of course, you bring in Eugene Levy into the mix, and having all these little interactions with Steve Martin. It's, of course, fun seeing him, like, being like, do you mind? Of showing him the move. Like, it's just so funny. But the problem here is that the story itself is just not that great, and it has the characters doing terrible things, and it's just not that great. So it comes down at the bottom of the list. Number 11 is Cheaper by the Dozen. Pretty forgettable. The only thing that really bothers me with this film is, why would you, if you have all these goals in life to what you want to do, why would you plan to have 12 children? I mean, obviously, I know you worked in with a family of 12 children, but why would you want to have 12 children yourself? That's the stupidest plotline I've ever heard in a movie. Though I do like in the remake, they don't really go through that, and they actually kind of explain it in a better way. But this is just a terrible plotline for a movie. Bringing us into the top 10 is Transformers: Age of Extinction. Now, this is somewhat a better film from Transformers: Dark of the Moon, as it has a cast that you're on this adventure with, and you actually like being with them. Of course, you have Mark Wahlberg, as well as Tim Miller, who played Fred in Big Hero 6, as well as the guy who was Deadpool's sidekick in the Deadpool movie. And it has some cool action throughout the mix, and just some fun action and characters. But at the same time, the story itself is not the most compelling. It is still kind of fun. Number 9, Tenet. Probably one of the most frustrating films for Christopher Nolan, as the special effects are great. There's some cool action throughout the mix, and the cast does the best it can to do it. So, with Robert Pattinson and the Washington guy from Malcolm and Marie. But the biggest problem here is that the story here of going and stopping this thing that's might cause World War III, but having to go in time to do it, and mixing it with this girl plotline, it was just so confusing, and I couldn't understand it that much. Number 8, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Now, this is a movie that I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, so number 7, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and Harry Potter, number 6, is Order of the Phoenix. I have the same opinion on all these movies, just because I feel like that all of them are just solid, good adventures of Harry Potter. And there's not really much I remember of them because they're kind of long. Though I think I don't remember exactly which one, but I like the one where Harry Potter becomes like the leader role and he's like teaming up all the kids of Hogwarts and defending the school, and I like that. So, but all three of these movies are actually really good, and I do like them. Number 5, For Love of the Game. I thought this was a pretty good Sam Raimi film, a very good Sam Raimi baseball film that has some good baseball sequences, had a good cast, and all that. But the problem here is that the story itself was a little bit weird as it just focused on baseball, but then focused on other characters. And I was a little bit confused throughout that, but overall, I actually liked it. Number 4, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. This was a really good way to set up Deathly Hallows Part 2, but the way the story was told was not that all that good. It just was told in a very weird way. Though, at the same time, Dobby, when he dies, it's very emotional. The way that the characters are all being, like, mad at each other and not on good terms with each other, it creates the conflict that makes you care about them a little bit more. And it's just a good movie, but not the greatest film. In third place is Palm Springs. So this was one of the most surprising films on this list for me because I was surprised why everybody liked this movie when it came out, because I heard, like, it's a rom-com with Andy Samberg, which I actually like him because of the Hotel Transylvania films. And, sorry, I've been talking a lot here. And so I was like, why does everybody like this movie? Oh, yeah, it's a time loop film, and everybody loves these types of films. But it's not really just that it's a time loop movie, and everybody likes that. Well, it is. It's also really... Andy Samberg and the girl in the film really have a great dynamic together. And even them talking about the time loops and the physics of time loops and the physicality of what it means to actually exist is, like, the actual existence. It all works. And I love that. I love when people talk things like that. And, like, them talking about, like, their sex life, it all works. But the big problem here is that the Roy character itself, I thought was a little bit, weird because they treat him as this big threat that ties into the origins of Andy Samberg's character, but then it just turns out that he's not really that dangerous, and they set him up as like a kind of like a joke in some way, and I don't really like that. And it was just kind of confusing in a way it was done. In second place is West Side Story. Now, this was a movie that I missed back in December when it came out. And I honestly didn't think it would go to Disney Plus, and I honestly didn't know where it would go after it stopped being in theaters. But honestly, I actually really enjoyed this movie. It was very well talented. Of course, Steven Spielberg is a great director, so he makes films look great. And I know this movie isn't related to In the Heights, but when I watched In the Heights last year, one of the things I loved about it is that we explored a different part of New York that I'd never seen before. Because most of the movies that we see nowadays that take place in New York are like, they take place in Manhattan, Times Square, Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, all the famous places. But we never seen Washington Heights. And I don't even know what the place in West Side Story is called, but it's interesting, it looks cool. And at the same time, the dance numbers, the songs, they're all memorable. And it's just a very well-told movie. And I don't really have any issues with it, though it's not my kind of movie, but I actually still like it. Number 1, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Oh, and actually, for honorable mention, I'm going to go with Sonic the Hedgehog. I know it's not in this list, and I did watch it today. Technically, today is, the day I'm filming this is March 23rd, but by the time you're watching this, it's just March 31st. By the time I'm filming this, it's March 23rd. But I'm adding Sonic the Hedgehog. I thought it was a very good movie, very funny, very action-packed, and a humorous sequel. But you'll see my review tomorrow on Friday. But coming in number 1 is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. This is a great conclusion to the Harry Potter saga that has all the payoff you want of the last 7 movies. It pays off certain character arcs, and you finally get all the cool battles. It gets some fan service moments. It pretty much is the end game of the Harry Potter franchise. And probably my favorite part of the film is the stuff that they do with Severus, where when Harry collects his tears, they go in and look at the stuff, and they realize that Severus was a good guy. He cared about Harry because he loved his mom so much, and so even though he was so loyal to Voldemort, he also wanted to protect Harry from the bad. And when you get to the ending, when Harry drops his kid off to school and he says his name, Albus Severus Potter, it's just so heartfelt. It's so great in the way that character arc was told, and I love that. And it's just a great way to continue the story of the Harry Potter world, and I just loved it. So for me, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 comes in at number 1. So that's my ranking of all 14 retro March 2022 movies ranked. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the About section over there, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.